Hi everybody and welcome. Today's question comes from Bronya and she asks, how do we speed up the recovery of those negative spinning dynamics that occur in relationships? Basically what that means, of course, is when we're in relationships, we often trigger in each other some kind of either a bad mood or a bad projection where we get into our stuff basically. And it tends to resolve itself, but usually it takes some time. So Bronya asks, how do we speed up that time it takes to come back from disconnection or disharmony into harmony? What can we do to actually speed up that process? It's a wonderful question. Now, the first thing I'd like to share, for those of you at home who may not know what pain bodies are and how this whole thing works, let me just share a little bit about that. Eckhart Tolle coined a term called pain body. Pain body is the energetic memory of everything that has happened to us in the past that is undigested. Basically, if we, in a moment, are not able to be fully present and to digest that moment, and by the way, that decision as to whether we can digest a moment is made by an unconscious part of our nervous system, so it's not something we can consciously change or control. It comes out of a factor of whether we feel safe in an environment. So when we don't feel safe, we won't be able to digest a moment, and then it's stored in our body. And it can be triggered, that memory gets brought out of us through events, people, places, and things in our life. And the more we are emotionally invested in a person or a thing, the more potential that thing or person has to basically trigger us into our pain. So it's kind of like an emotional hijacking. It's never because the other person is somehow evil, or it's not because you're with the wrong partner or the wrong person. It's just that we attract people who actually bring up our unconscious pain, not because it's bad, but in fact because that's a really good thing, because as soon as we give ourselves permission to actually feel our pain body, we get to digest it bit by bit. And over time, we actually can heal it. And Bronya, this is the answer to the question, is that to the degree to which you're willing to sit with your pain without getting lost and into the drama of it, is the degree to which you'll speedily recover and move out of disconnection into connection within your relationships. What most people do is, they forget that as relationships, you and your partner are like mirrors. And instead of trying to look at the mirror and use it as a tool to discover more about yourself, you throw rocks at the mirror to smash it so that you don't have to look at yourself. And the truth is, your relationship is literally the biggest tool, the biggest gift that you have to self-awareness. Now, just because you're not liking something that you see in your space, there's no reason to try and remove it, because whatever you don't complete within this relationship, I promise you will recreate it in the next one. Whatever you don't complete will come chasing after you, running after you, in fact. And when you find that new person, you'll think, oh my God, brand new person, this feels amazing. It's all electric and nice and honeymoony. And then you realize, well, actually, it's the same person with different hair. What happened? It's so interesting as well. Pain bodies kind of interact in a most synchronistic and harmonious and perfect way. I remember I was in a relationship with a woman who was very, very sensitive to my ambiguity. Ambiguity is that part of a person that just doesn't know where they're going, that they're uncertain, they don't know what they want. That's called ambiguity. And this made her feel very unsafe when I was being ambiguous. I didn't really choose her, I didn't claim her, I didn't feel like, I didn't let her know that she was my chosen woman. Because I was a bit scared of commitment. That was part of my fear, was I didn't really want to say, you're it, you're mine, I choose you. I didn't want to do that because there was a part of me that was terrified that I would be making the wrong choice, or that I would never have any other options, I'd be trapped and imprisoned and all the other stuff. This was what was going on at the time. Now, because I didn't offer my commitment, it triggered her pain of her past, where her father left her and when she was very, very young, and she felt abandoned, and so she needed a man's commitment to say, I'm here. So because I couldn't offer that to her, boom, brought up her pain, which hasn't been digested from the past. Now, what's interesting is that this pain that she felt was not able to be fully felt for what it was. So in fact, if you were to ask her, what were you really, really feeling when that pain body came up? the honest answer, if she gave herself time to speak about it, would be a lot of sadness, a lot of terror, a lot of fear, actually a lot of shock. But because she wasn't giving herself permission to feel those feelings, many people don't, I mean, it's quite natural, it's kind of big and heavy, she instead covered it. And the way she covered those bigger feelings was through the strategy of getting angry. In other words, her anger covered her hurt. She didn't let herself feel her hurt, instead she expressed her anger. Now, of course, when she was in those moments angry, that then triggered my pain body, because when I was young, my father would sometimes get into a rage spontaneously where it seemed like something very small and inappropriate would trigger an enormous kind of angry response. So then I always felt like I needed to protect myself against anger. And it reminds me, and whenever somebody's really angry to me, it kind of like brings me back psychologically and energetically and emotionally to being that young boy with my father. So the reason I'm saying this is because I'm trying to share with you the beautiful symmetrical dynamic with pain body activation. When you come up, when you're in a relationship with, when you're in a relationship, you both have pain bodies, and you'll find that you'll attract people who are perfectly able to trigger your specific type of juice, your specific type of stuff. And it's almost like they've been given the perfect key to unlock and go, Ugh. And then we make the judgment to think, this isn't the right person, because relationships are supposed to be easy, right? No. Yes, they're supposed to be enjoyable, but they become enjoyable when you understand the process. If you think the process is just, actually nothing should ever come up and it should all be hunky-dory and we should never have any issues, it's not always the case. So going back, what I was saying was that, my ambiguity triggered her pain. Her pain was defended against her hurt was being defended against by her expression of anger. Her anger put me into shock. And then guess what? When I was now in shock, I became like this little boy. And that really, really made her angry, because she thought, well, I don't want to go out with a little boy, I want a man. Which again triggered her anger, which then triggered my shock, which triggered her anger, which triggered my shock. I got younger and younger and younger and younger. She got harder and harder and harder. And then suddenly we've depolarized. In other words, where I was before the man and the masculine kind of like heart of the relationship, and she was able to surrender into her femininity, suddenly she had to become very hard, and I became kind of like emasculated. It's so fascinating, isn't it? And so, Bronya, the way we get out of these dynamics, of course, time has its own effect, but it's your ability to feel deeply within what's going on with yourself and actually have your partner be in on that process. I think it's so important that both partners understand the concept of holding space for each other. When somebody's in pain, they hold space for you. That is silent, heartfelt attention. Not questioning, not trying to fix, not trying to psychoanalyze, not trying to process, not trying to offer a solution. Holding heart energy, heart space. Such an important skill. It's not just to do with active listening. Active listening is just a technique. It's just like and then repeating back what they're saying. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about heart space holding the space of another's heart, because they will naturally come into their own solution when you do that, and you'll find your way back. So if you can find a way to take time to hold space for each other, it's a wonderful, wonderful skill for you to connect to what's real for you again. And Bronya, remember, I'm going to say this a lot over these videos, the best way to practice and to come into that are through one of these relationship events, the Love, Relationships and You events that we've got going on, and even Accelerated Awakening Heart Circle trainings are brilliant for teaching the skills to transform relationships and transform our relationship with ourselves and others. It's profound, because that's where the ultimate solution is found in terms of being able to do this sustainably. So I hope this helped, and of course, please take a moment to write a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and also share this with your friends. Share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter, whatever feels good to you. And also, if you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube and you want more information, or you want to register for an event, please do so by going to loverelationshipsandyou.com. Until tomorrow, take care. Bye-bye.